Says it's live on the XSplit. And let's look on over there at the beautiful YouTube dashboard, and it says the stream is starting. It is receiving my content, which is absolutely wonderful. And as I look up there at the elapsed time of the stream, it is still not showing anything. That is strange. YouTube dashboard, and it says, oh, there we go. The stream. Oh, shoot. I had the audio on. I didn't want the audio on. Alright. I'm sure I finish my bagel first. And then we will get started. Love bagels. I wish I could get it toasted though. Can't get it toasted here in my room. Sucks. Stupid toasters. Oh well. Every time I'm about to do this, I forget. Mini-me. You would think after I do this for you, I would remember Mini-me. I mean, it's a very key point in all of this. So I don't know why I would forget him, but I do. So, let's get rid of that. And yes, everything looks good. Good. Hey! Hello, Zeg Boneshans for joining in on the chat. How is it going, mate? It is going wonderfully, swimmingly, as swimmingly as it can be with my very, disjointed way of doing things. But, you know, hey, if I didn't do it that way, then, hey, it wouldn't be me very much. Woo! As you can see, for those of you who are watching this live on the YouTube right now, as you won't be able to see it as I bring this back up as the rebroadcast on YouTube, that I'm currently engaging in with the chat as I try and do, just because that way in case you guys say something I can quickly type that out in case I'm typing, because you know the myth of multitasking, because you know multitasking and whatnot. I'm not going to get into that right now. Da-da-dum-dum. Video is delayed for you. Let's see. That is interesting. Video is so delayed for me. Lol. You saying it is delayed between when I'm saying stuff, or you know, there's an easy way for me to check out, and that is I open up another handy dandy tab on my computer. I bring up another YouTube thing because I already had two. Oh, he fixed it. They are good. Awesome. That is wonderful. As my friends like is currently doing. If you guys are in the chat and you see something going wrong, if you see that I'm dropping frames like none other, or I'm forgetting something, or I'm starting something without it, please put it in the chat. That way I can try and get it fixed. However fixed I can really get it. So yes, we will begin in just a minute here, guys that are in there watching. It's not currently saying there are people watching. Oh, I know why. I haven't refreshed the page. That would be why. So, alright. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That is now fixed. Awesome. So, that is awesome. Then I can scroll down. I can look at the analytics of people watching and messages per minute. It is so cool. So, One moment. I just have to make sure some stuff is nearby and handily ready. That way, wait in case I talk about it. It's right here. But then again, disjointedness. That's what I run on, practically. And the coffee, I believe, is also about ready. Awesome. Alright, then. I believe, ladies and gentlemen who are watching in the chat and on the YouTubes right now, got my pitch black and breakfast pizza. Let's go. Dude, breakfast of champions right there. Although, yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. So, anyways, we'll begin, ladies and gentlemen, in 3, 2, 1, Mike. Heyo, everyone, and welcome to the Chitty-Chat cast. I am your host, MacGyver. And this week's quote of the week comes from the one and only Adam Savage from Mythbusters. Remember, kids, the only difference between screwing around and science is writing it down. Woo! Feels so good to be back in this. It's been, let's see, it is the 15th, and I recorded on the first. It's only been 2 weeks. I may have said that I was going to stream something or do a podcast last week on the 8th, but of course I forgot I was going home because I had Monday off. So, how much did you miss, Michael Bilby, there in the chat as I'm currently looking at the chat and everything? How much did you miss? Well, from when I'm reading your message, not very much. I just kicked off the podcast, which, with that being said, I will say that right at the beginning here. With me being live on the YouTube, if you're watching this, you can at any point, you can go back later into the stream and see anything you missed. Although, really, there really hasn't been much within the past however long I've been on. So, about 6 minutes. So, yeah. So, we're just starting off. Welcome to the Chitty-Chat cast, podcast dedicated to talking about random stuff because why not? So, as always, continuing my trek through the ages of movies, of going back 20 years from my birthday, since I'm going to be 20 come this December. I decided to go back 20 years and pick my favorite movies that I've seen, or, well, for some of the years, any that I've seen, really, or ones that I would like to see. So this week, we're actually hitting 3 years, 1978, 79, and 80, because when looking back, I realized I really had not seen many from these years. Previous years, I had seen quite a few, but yeah, these years there was only like 1 or 2, so I was like, well, I can't really just go off of one movie for 1 year. So I thought, okay, I'll do a couple then. So, for 1978, the movie that I've seen is, I didn't realize how old this actually was. I figured it was old, but I never really thought of it because it was on DVD when I first saw it. It was a little disconcerting, or disorienting to think about it, but it is The Cat from Outer Space. This is an old Disney movie, real life, in which there is about this cat in the spaceship that crashes onto Earth, and this cat has this magical collar that can speak telepathically. It's a very hilarious movie. Lots of references to mayonnaise. It's like the slapstick comedy humor or something. I believe that's how you would call it. It's very hilarious. A lot of people in there who I keep thinking are Don Knotts, but aren't. I always have that problem. I always know when Don Knotts is in something, but then there's those certain people who I always think are Don Knotts, which I'm not sure why. It's always one of those things like, for the longest time, I always got Hugh Jackman and Russell Crowe mixed up. No clue how. I think for a long time it was facial hair, but I don't know. So that was the only movie from 78 I had seen, so I was like, alright, let's go to 79, there must be more. And there really wasn't. Obviously, me being a Bond fan, 1979 was Moonraker, which, as I mentioned last week, Moonraker was part of the Roger Moore overlapping themes from multiple movies. This was also the second movie that Jaws was in, Richard Kiel reprising his famous role, and in this movie, I believe, actually, one of the last scenes with him, we actually get a line of dialogue with him. It's very awesome, very good movie. It's very interesting. 1979, that's around the age of space exploration and everything. It's especially in America and whatnot. That's when all these space movies started coming out. Like last week, I mentioned Star Wars. Star Trek also got started around this time, and then there, Moonraker. These things of things being off in space with space lasers being deadly weapons. This is sort of when that whole idea started with Bond villains and movie villains. So, yes, the other movie I had actually seen, which I mainly saw this because of the more recent one that came out. I figured, well, I want to see the most recent one, but I'm not sure how the original three line up before it. Supposedly they don't, especially since the new one has a different actor. And what I'm currently speaking about is, of course, Mad Max. So, Mad Max, originally starring Mel Gibson, way back in 1979. It was a very interesting movie. Movies that started coming out around the 70s, 80s, some sort of had a different feel that they didn't always have like a very strict plot that they stuck to. It was more of little things along the side, like episodic. It was more like episodic plot. Certain things happened that sort of came together, more like a multi-episode thing, in like movie format. That's sort of what this movie was, and you really didn't get much of the sense of what people think when they think of Mad Max until like the last like 20 minutes. I can't remember how long it was, but yeah, it was very interesting. I wouldn't consider it a favorite, but it was interesting. I still haven't seen 2, which is The Road Warrior, and 3, which is Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome, and then the 4th one, which came out last year, I think. Was it 15 or 14 that Fury Road came out? And that was Tom Hardy playing Mad Max, which he has a really weird last name. I cannot remember what it is. I know it ends with a Y. Oh shoot. Oh gosh. My mother texted me, ladies and gentlemen, and apparently it's about quarters, which is interesting. So, continuing on, Micah Bilby says, speaking of Star Wars, have I seen the new Rogue One trailer? I have. I did see that the other day. I was a little iffy. I'd seen all this stuff about the appearance of Darth Vader, and I was like, oh, they're just overhyping it because it's a more, like, iconic figure from the series, and I was like, it's probably not going to be all that different. But then I started realizing, wait, this is the second trailer. And one of the things I've seen in trailers through the years is most movies that people, or at least the movie industry, goodness me, my mother, is movie producers or movie people who think a movie's going to be big usually do trailers in a certain way. Usually there is a teaser, which is somewhere between about 20 seconds and 45 seconds. And what it is, it's usually a very slow beginning into something that you might not know or something you will easily recognize into a big burst of music or something that is then into a whole bunch of quick segments of action-packed stuff usually of what's going to happen in there, which is going to entice you. It's sort of wetting your whistle, sort of like an appetizer. And then it usually ends saying, hey, the real trailer comes out in like a week or in a couple of days. Usually for some things it's usually, here's the teaser, hey, watch this show on this special day and see the real trailer. Or unless you're like me and I stick to IMDb, the International Movie Database, which is what IMDb stands for. Sorry, my camera is opposite simply for the fact of it's literally showing what is directly behind me, so yeah, it's weird, but that doesn't matter for you guys because, okay, it shows up the exact same way. That makes sense. So then, when the real trailer, the first trailer, trailer number 1 comes out, this is usually much longer. This is usually at least 30 seconds. Some of them are always a little shorter. This is usually 30 seconds to about 2 minutes. Usually you don't see very many to 2 minutes. Usually it's about a minute and a half. Is about the standard. And what this is it usually starts out the same as the teaser did, but then it adds more, draws things out. Usually has either clips from the teaser that are more drawn out, or it pertains, scenes that you didn't see before. Usually there's a bit more music that's usually going to be pertained to it, or it's usually some pop cultural thing that comes out. And with many of the movies I see for next year, they're recycling stuff, like the Triple X Return of Xander Cade. That is reusing the music from the Agent 47 trailer. Don't ask how I know that. It's just something I noticed. So anyways, that's the first trailer. And the first trailer usually pertains to about stuff that's happening in it. It usually has some segments of talking and everything, but you don't get much of the plot. And that's the point. It wants you to see the movie outside of the plot. Then, usually, much closer to where the movie's coming out. Usually, teaser and the actual trailer comes out about. The teaser can come anywhere between like 6 months and a year before the actual movie comes out. That's usually what we see, except for some movies, it's a lot closer, maybe 3 months. The first trailer usually comes out about a third of the way to the movie whenever the teaser comes out. If you say the teaser is point A and the movie is point B, the first trailer comes out about a third of the way through. And that's usually what gets people hyped. And then we wait the second trailer until about another third of the way through, almost. Either that or about halfway through. If it comes about halfway through, it usually means there has not been like any TV special or a TV spot trailers for it. If it's been on TV, it's trailer 1. But trailer 2, which comes out, which Michael Bilby is referencing for the Rogue One, that usually comes out about halfway or about another third, so 2/3 of the way to the movie. And that usually details the plot. It's not detailing so much about the action in it. Usually this is about 2 minutes. This is usually your longer trailers and the one you really look for to get you gripped if you're not hooked by the teaser or the first trailer. So the second trailer is usually mainly about plot. This is where you see a lot more characters, a lot more dialogue, and yeah, you usually get more interest in it because you actually know what's going on, the plot. And you don't see as much action. Otherwise, if you do, it's much more related to the plot, not like outside stuff that's going to grip people who are like, I need action, I need the adrenaline rush. You don't see that in trailer 2 as much. It's much more developed a plot. And then once trailer 2 comes out, usually anything after that, if there's a third trailer, it's usually recapping stuff of usually what people think are they're going to take as the most exciting bits or what's going to grip people the most. If they show anything new, it's going to be new action, most likely. Things that are going to grip the people, not so much anything with story. Just because that's what trailer 2 is dedicated to. Usually after trailer 2, it's TV spots. It's TV commercials and stuff that you see, or yeah, possibly after trailer 2, yeah, sometime between trailer 1 and 2, or after trailer 2, depending on what's going on in the world, the TV spots are usually going to be slightly different than the trailers, simply because they might be tailored towards some things, like the Olympics. There's a big movie coming out around the Olympics, and so they tailor stuff towards the Olympics and everything and whatnot, usually towards a common theme. Sometimes they do it with Coke or Pepsi or some like big company that they're usually put together. So, yes, very long-winded. I have seen the new Rogue One trailer, Micah. Let's see, Zach Boneshine's one of my favorite movies is Hanging Behind You. Also seen it because of you. Ah, yes. So, that is, obviously, from behind me is the poster of The Breakfast Club. I'll talk more about that when it comes out in the 80s. I believe we have to wait at least 3 more weeks before The Breakfast Club comes out. But, yes, Breakfast Club is an awesome movie. You have not seen it, and you are, like, sophomore age or above, you need to see it. You have to see it before you exit high school. But first, get your parents' permission. I believe it is rated R, but mainly because of language. So, excellent, wonderful movie. Good observation, Zach. Okay, then we go to 1980 for last year, because there was only one movie from this year that I'd seen, and that is, funnily enough, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. And I don't want to say this was my favorite of the original trilogy, but it was the one I watched the most. Last week when I talked about my father and my family owning the original trilogy on VHS, number 2 for what I thought, but number 5 was one I'd watched the most, or at least my brother and I. Um, Mainly because of a couple of things. Number one, that Battle of Hoth at the beginning. That always gripped me, of this desolate snow planet, the Tauntauns running about, the speeders, the AT-ATs, I believe is what it is. Mike will probably correct me in the chat. I believe it's the AT-ATs, or the giant four-legged ones. Um, yeah, it's just very interesting. It starts off with, yeah, a battle sequence, which sort of gets you really gripped and everything. It's also very unique. In the first movie, we got Tatooine. Was it? Yeah, Tatooine, in which then, yeah, it's all desert and everything. We get Mos Eisley Cantina, and we get the Death Star. There's Alderaan, and then there's Yavin 5, which is all the Force, and then we get Hoth. So there's a very diverse like planetary system up until this point in the Star Wars system, and Hoth being all snow covered. It's very interesting. There's also the little black Imperial droid going about, which is very mysterious to you, because if you don't really understand Star Wars when you're a younger age of like 7 or so, you don't really understand it, so you sort of get gripped a bit more. Um, so yeah, then of course it's also introducing Yoda into the original trilogy, which immediately grips you because he's a lot more hilarious and he's a lot more loopy in the head than he is in Star Wars 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, he's in there. There is, I mean, I'm telling you all this stuff. It's not like it's spoilers. The movie is literally almost 40 years old, so I don't think I have to give much spoilers away. And I think pretty much everybody knows that Darth Vader cuts his hand off. There's the iconic "Luke, I am your father," and Luke going "No!" and then of course falling and everything, and the whole thing of where does Luke's lightsaber go? And the whole mystery behind that. It's also where we meet Lando Calrissian, who is one of my favorite people just because he's not like Han, but he doesn't look as like grim and stern looking. Like Lando tries to be funny and everything, he tries to have a smile, while Han sort of almost has like a permanent scowl on his face. Not that I'm criticizing Harrison Ford on the way he played Han Solo, or how was it? Billy Ray Williams, I think, is who played Lando. It's not like I'm criticizing them how they played their characters, but it's just one of those, yeah, I took a liking to Lando quite a bit and everything. And it sort of brought back, like, the Death Star is being rebuilt, and it's sort of in its tattered state, and it's like, ooh, that's really cool. So, yeah, so the mystery behind that, we get a lot more of Emperor Palpatine in there, of, ooh, who's this mysterious figure guy and everything. So, yeah. So, Star Wars Episode 5, yeah, I don't want to say it's my favorite of the series, because I do like Return of the Jedi quite a bit, but I think a lot of people do for very odd reasons, like, yeah, the Jabba the Hutt's barge scene in the beginning, there's Endor with the Ewoks, which is one of my favorite, there's the second blowing up of the Death Star, there's the big fight at the end of it and everything. And I'll go into that more when that movie comes, which is in, about a week or two if I had to guess. So, yeah, Empire Strikes Back is probably the one I've watched the most. I would say it's probably up there in my top 3 for the entire series if I had to guess, just because of those reasons. Let's check the coffee. Ooh, yeah, the coffee's good. And actually, I'm trying to get myself orientated, because one of the things I've noticed is I'm right-handed. This is my right hand. Hello. And with a mug, the stuff that you want to see the most is on the left side of the mug. So if I hold it in my left hand, you see that out there, which is much more pleasing than, of course, the opposite side. Unless you like the look of bamboo and the words Toronto Zoo. But I'm trying to get myself used to and acquainted to drinking out of my left hand, simply because when I drink them, you are seeing the more obvious stuff. I've also noticed this on my Michigan mug, although my Michigan mug has disappeared somehow. I don't know where I put it, but I can't find it right now, so yeah. Gotta see a lot of pandas until I find it. Let's look over the chat just to see. Mike and Bilby totally agreed, watched Battle Hawk many times, and I'm spot on. Woo! Yeah, I'm going to my Star Wars lore for something. Oh, right. one of the other things I had the idea of just after the second podcast, and yes, I'm looking at my phone for this because what I'm looking for doesn't show up on IMDb, the website, as much for the desktop, is I had this idea of, well, some of these weeks I don't have a lot of movies to talk about. So I was like, alright, well, what if I talk about just a specific actor? And so I was like, okay, I could do that, an actor or actress. But I was like, how am I going to figure that out? Well, one of the wonderful things about the IMDb app is it tells you this wonderful thing of actors who were born today. So I figured, well, this is nice. Because unlike the most popular celebrities tab, that usually stays pretty constant. So it's like, alright, well, I don't want to have to constantly run through until I find an actor or actress I've seen in something, or I know I just haven't seen anything they're in. I figured, well, the born today, I can find one. Then I don't have to worry about finding them again, because the next time I do it, it'll be somebody new. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through the people who were born today until I find an actor or actress I actually know, which, unfortunately, there's not, they're famous actor and actresses, but none that I extremely know. So I'm just going to flip through here and find someone. Okay, that's alright. You know what? We'll do this. We'll give him the spotlight right now. Some people say he's been neglected for awards in the past for his acting. I might go against their opinion, but we'll give him the limelight as the first person for famous actors and actresses, and my favorite movie that they have done. We're going to give that spot to Leo. We're going to give Leo the award for being the first person on the Chitty-Chat cast we talked about. We're going to do Leonardo DiCaprio. I wouldn't say he's a favorite actor of mine. I mean, I'm not doing this off of just my favorite actors. It's supposed to be like a random person and just talking about the movies they've been in. Just looking at this, Leonardo DiCaprio has 36 upcoming projects that he's supposed to be in. And goodness me, there's a lot. Some of these look interesting, some of these I have no clue what they are. But it'll be interesting to find out. So, just looking through here at movies that I have seen that Leonardo DiCaprio has been in, we are... Oh, wait, no. That's producer. I don't want producer, I want actor, sorry. He's only going to be in 3 upcoming movies. Sorry, that was very off. The Revenant I've not seen. I've heard many people say it's really good. I, unfortunately, almost fell asleep watching the trailer. That's how much I didn't find it appealing. So, I know some of you are probably going to laugh and ridicule me about that in the comments, but, you know, it looked great cinematography, but there seemed like no plot. So, yeah, Wolf of Wall Street, I'm not watching simply because of the pervasive language in it. I mean, sure, I can get through that, but the fact that one of the most memorable things about the movie is that it broke records with pervasive language, I'm like, no. I mean, sure, I've actually had the movie recommended by one of my teachers at MOC, I'm not going to name who for, secrecy and liability's sake, and somebody at Iowa, mainly for the content of it, not for the language or the actors and what happens in it, but for like the plot, the actual Wall Street part of it and stuff is very interesting. But I was like, I'm just not interested. The Great Gatsby, though, where Leonardo DiCaprio plays Jay Gatsby, was really good. I had watched the movie. I did not watch the movie. I had read the book in anticipation for this movie because it looked really good. The music sounded beautiful. I love that 20s, 30s age jazz swing music. Oh, it sounded so good. It was a really good movie. I've not seen Django Unchained. I'm not a big Tarantino fan. Well, at least none of his most recent movies. Some of his older ones, sure. My brother loves J. Edgar. I still have not seen it. Inception, one of my favorite movies that Leonardo DiCaprio has been in. If you don't know Inception, Inception is the movie that Hans Zimmer did the iconic that you hear people referencing all the time. It is wonderful. It has an amazing cast of actors. I mean, I have the movie right here with me. I'll probably watch it tonight the more I talk about it right now. But yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio, Ken Watanabe, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Marion Cotillard, Ellen Page, Tom Hardy, Cillian Murphy, Tom Berenger, and Michael Caine. I mean, if there was a movie to deserve any award simply off actors alone, this would blow out the Oscars or the Emmy Golden Globes. I don't know my awards ceremonies. I'm sorry, but this movie is wonderful. If you have not seen it, it is PG-13 for violence and action throughout. There's really not much language in it. So good. Shutter Island is actually one of my brother's favorites that Leota has been in. Body of Lies. Mythbusters have done quite a few myths from this movie. Hood is very good. Haven't seen it myself, but hoping to. Blood Diamond, I heard, is fantastic. The Departed, I've only seen the first bit of. My brother likes that, along with The Aviator. My brother loves The Aviator. Here's Leonardo DiCaprio, which I think is very underappreciated. And this is one that I would extremely tell people to watch. Possibly just as much as Inception. This one also has Tom Hanks in it. That is Catch Me If You Can. Let me look at this. It is PG-13, but it's actually based off of an actual person from, well, it gave me a year. The 1960s, from 1960s, about Leonardo DiCaprio playing Frank Abagnale Jr., who basically lived his life off of forging checks and everything and like scamming off banks and getting away with it and changing his name and marrying different people. It sounds very off, like he's very sleazy, but it's not. It's extremely good. He has a wonderful portrayal. Tom Hanks as the cop person chasing after him, wonderful. There's a hilarious joke in there that is not appropriate enough to say on stream. Christopher Walken's also in it. If Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio are going to get you to watch it, Christopher Walken's in it. I mean, if Christopher Walken's in it, then you almost have to see it, right? Gangs of New York, I have not seen. Some of these other ones. Titanic, everybody has seen. Titanic and, well, I say I've seen Titanic. I've never seen it all the way through. I have seen enough bits and pieces to where I could piece together the entire movie, except the drawing scene. I've still never seen the drawing scene. And this is absolutely true. I've never seen the Draw Me Like One of Your French Girls. I've never seen that scene, nor do I really am trying to go out of my way to see it because of I do not like nudity. But yeah, I could piece together the entire movie of Titanic from what I've seen, and yeah, it's a good movie. I love the Celine Dion song. Listening to it in French though, ooh, now that is music to your ears. But I think it's a little overrated for his portrayal and everything in it, as well as, was it Kate Winslet? Yes, Kate Winslet. Yeah, it's a really good movie, but I think maybe they hype it up a little too much. I don't know. You guys post in the comments what you think. The Romeo and Juliet. I have to double check. This is, yes, the Baz Luhrmann. And you know Baz Luhrmann, he has some very wild movies. He also did, I believe, yes, Moulin Rouge in Australia. Very sort of off the wall movies. The Romeo and Juliet from 1996 is very weird. Then again, it does have John Leguizamo in it, so it almost has to be a little weird because he's in it. Not the Romeo and Juliet I would suggest you watch, just because it's like cheesy and it's almost like grimy watching all the way through it, just because it's cringy. It's very cringy, but yeah, it's a decent portrayal of the Romeo and Juliet story, but not the best. Basketball Diaries, I've heard, is good. I've actually seen a bit of The Quick and the Dead, and I've noticed that Leo is in it. He doesn't play like a huge part in it, but yeah, I didn't really pay much attention to the movie. It's one of those. My grandfather was over one year, and we really didn't have anything to do, so we were just watching stuff on. Oh, can't remember what it is. For most cable people, it's that channel around AMC, which like only ever does like Western stuff. It's like TCL or something. I can't remember. MacGyver. What's Eating Gilbert Grape? Haven't seen. A lot of the older stuff that he's been in, I haven't seen at all. So, yeah, so a lot of good Leo DiCaprio movies. If I had to pick my favorite, first off, it is obviously a choice between either Inception and Catch Me If You Can. Trying to choose between the two. They're very different movies. Catch Me If You Can is sort of documentarial in the way that it's not like fiction. Like you can tell it's based off of something much like Argo and movies like that, to where it's not like documentational, but it's like factual. It's based off of actual stuff. Whereas yeah, Inception is very clearly fictional and everything. It's very action packed. They're sort of not really opposites, but they're both extremely good. I'd almost want to watch them both again before I could decide, but off of right now, I've seen both of them the same amount of times. I've each seen both of them 3-4 times. Um, it's very tricky. I gave myself a very tricky one for the first one. I think I'm going to go ahead and say Catch Me If You Can, just because it's. I don't want to like go against like the norm or the one that people think I'm going to choose. That I'm going to choose the more popular one, the one people know better. But it's an interesting story. It's a really nicely well done story with extremely good actors, with extremely good portrayals. Um, yeah, it's very good for reasons that you really don't look at a movie for. Whereas yeah, Inception, you know what you're looking for. You're looking at the actors and everything. Whereas in Catch Me If You Can, you're really not looking at it for that reason. So yeah, I think Catch Me If You Can, I think is going to be what I choose for Leonardo DiCaprio's my favorite movie / best movie I think he's been in. So that is yes the new segment that I'm starting is simply because some of the times yes I don't always have enough movies that I've seen from previous years, and this is a nice fun little thing that I'm also capturing other movies that I've seen or haven't seen or I may miss when I do this yearly thing. So, yes, that is going to bring us to very cold coffee, which sucks, but I will get more coffee in just a second because coffee. That's always like the myth of people saying that coffee isn't good for you or you shouldn't drink coffee when you're younger. Um, with me being a psychology class, I should really ask my professor that because it'd be interesting to see like this psychological tripping over my words psychological studies of coffee on the human brain and stuff because we're talking about like development. We just had this huge thing on functions of the brain and whatnot, so it'd be interesting to see what he's seen or learned about it just because yeah, it's interesting. People always have this preconceived idea or stereotypes or myths about coffee when I really don't know. I mean, sure, there's the whole thing about the caffeine, but I don't drink coffee for the caffeine. I know I've said this on a couple vlogs. I may have mentioned it last time or the first time when I was talking about coffee and stuff, but yeah, I don't drink it for the caffeine. I drink it for the taste and the warmness of it. I don't drink it for most of the reasons. Like I don't. If I make a pot of coffee at night, I'm not making it to help me stay awake. I'm making it because I either feel in the mood for it, it sounds good, or I need something warm. And I know I've mentioned last year. One of the things I do, I don't know why. I could do it year round. I just don't. But I only drink. I'll drink coffee year round. But I only drink things like hot apple cider, hot chocolate, and hot tea. Hot tea, a little differently. But hot chocolate and hot apple cider, I only drink once fall comes. Like this time of year, this is when I start drinking hot chocolate and hot apple cider. I don't do it like during the summer months or in the spring, just because it doesn't feel in the mood. Like hot chocolate and hot apple cider and things like that is something you could drink every day during the winter or the fall because it's cold and everything. And I feel like the lighting has changed, which is strange because I know this light doesn't, but on here, this capture, it seems like the lighting's weird and I barely have my window open. I have the my curtain, my beautiful, wonderful red curtain up. So sorry if that's weird. I just noticed it here. But yeah, hot apple cider and hot chocolate. You don't see people drinking like every day during the summer or the spring. It's You just don't see people do it. So you might say that they're more like festive drinks, like pumpkin spice stuff that's out, which I think is ridiculous, and I wouldn't understand. I don't understand why people think it's so great. I don't think it's so great. And see, the lighting is changing. It's weird. Um, so yeah, I only drink it during the fall and the winter. I could drink it year round. That's the thing. I could drink it year round, and if I wanted to, I probably could. If I really wanted to, I could go July 1st, make a cup of hot apple cider, though. Why I would do that when it's 90 degrees out, I don't know. Sometimes I am a little crazy. But coffee is something you can drink year round. That and hot tea, you can drink those year round. Those are normal. People don't see you as crazy for drinking those when it's hot outside. Granted, you're usually doing it inside a restaurant or at home, but they won't see you as crazy as, oh yeah, July 1st, 80 degrees out, I'll take a hot chocolate, please. And people just look at you weird. So, yeah, this is around the time. I was actually going to make some hot apple cider the other day, but what was the reason? Oh, I was working on homework. I was working on my logic homework, which it took a lot longer than what I thought it was going to be with logic, only because I didn't know all of the problems we had to do, and of course it's one of those, okay, start off with the easy stuff, right? Start with just these simple little things, which actually took me the longest to figure out, surprisingly. Supposedly the easy stuff I couldn't understand. So, alright, skip those, come back to it later, did the next two, understood them perfectly, and then it got to, in logic, it's sort of like math, in a way, a different way of thinking about math, to where you sort of have like your story problems, or the stuff like mathematical stuff you can say without using numbers and actually writing out like the actual equations or proofs for it. That sort of math is one side. But on the other side, you get the actual equations and stuff, like the logic equivalent of 2 plus 2 equals what? Or more likely in math equivalency, the equivalent of 3x to the fourth power times 5, all in parentheses, divided by 2/5 times the square root of pi equals q. I don't know if that's the equivalent, but it's the same idea. That's more of what logic, like a logic sort of equation, is like. It's a lot more, you gotta do things in a certain order, state your reasoning and stuff, and then get an answer. Gotta tune out. Alright, well, thank you for joining me, Micah. I will talk to you later, because tonight we're actually doing D&D, so that is going to be awesome. So I love doing D&D with him and the guys. Anyways, so yeah, logic, to where the actual, like, equational problems, I didn't actually have that hard of a time on. I don't know why it just came easily to me, I guess because it's more like numbers and stuff. The actual other problems, it's a lot more, I didn't understand them because we didn't go over them as much, but I still got it done to where, yeah, I can actually give you guys an example of something that you would see in logic. Some of these do get pretty lengthy. Okay, so I'm not sure how clear this is going to show up, but here essentially you have your equation, to where it is, yes, C and in parentheses D or E, and the equation, no, and A or B. So these are your two, like, premises. This is what we call premises in logic. These are your givens. This is what you know. What we're trying to find out is not A and C or G, which will probably not make any sense to you guys. And then this is the actual solving of it, which, now that I'm looking at stream, this is actually coming up the right way for you. I didn't realize it was going to do that, but that's awesome. I don't know how it happened. But yeah, this is like the two times 2 divided by whatever and whatnot. So this is the actual happening of it, and then over here is the reasoning behind why I did what I did or why we do what we do. It's very complicated. But then you can get to things, very complicated things, to where you are supposed to search for an answer. So on this occasion, from nothing, prove A or not A. And so from nothing, from literally nothing, no premises, no nothing, you have to get A or not A. And so there's different ways to do that in logic and different reasonings and whatnot that you can go through, and you can get your answer and declare QED, which I believe is Latin for something, or for those of you who watch Captain Sparkles play Maya Knight, or no Endo.io, I believe, in Minecraft. It can be anything from quantum entanglement device to quantized endo device. There's a whole bunch of different names to where whenever you look at this block in Minecraft, it changes its name every time. So you can look away, look at it, it has a different name. Look away, look at it again, it has a different scrambled up name of a whole bunch of these different words and whatnot. So yeah, that's what I was doing the other night. That's why I didn't make hot apple cider. But yeah, logic is very fun and stuff, and yeah, I actually understand the problems a lot more than like some of the like woody problems. But yeah, okay. Looking back on here and looking at the time, I'm actually going to go and get some more coffee a second. So for those of you who are watching the rebroadcast of this, I'm probably editing this part out, or will probably have some fun feature in there depending on how well I can edit this, which I'll get into in a moment when I come back. For those of you who are watching this live, just chill out, go get yourself a drink, get yourself a snack, something. I will be back in just a minute or so with more coffee, and then we will resume the podcast. Alright. We will wait a moment here before we get back into this podcast. Of course, for those of you who are watching this live, you're probably seeing this and saying, okay, why is he doing that? Well, that's just because of the delay that there is on the podcast for me looking at it. So I'm just waiting for this to catch up to where it is, and then I will begin again. That way you guys know that I am back, and that you just don't come back and see me talking. It's like, whoa, what's he doing? which I don't think will be a problem. I do, however, need to close my door. Just for sound quality, mainly. My roommate is out and gone, but, for sound quality and whatnot, not so much for lighting because all the lights off are out there. So, anyways, jumping back into the podcast. So, we are back now for editing purposes, if it matters at all. 3, 2, 1, mark. So, yes, other things to come up with on the podcast. First off, may I just say we've been going for almost 50 minutes now. There's not been a single dropped frame. I mean, go ahead and you can give me a round of applause. I'm going to give myself one because last time I had a couple thousand. I had tons. The stream was, yeah, I believe because I changed one change in my streaming options, I believe it has then made it to where I've not had a single dropped frame. This has been wonderful. Oh, it's going to be so nice to edit. Speaking of which, one of the things why I was a little late starting from when I said I was going to start was the fact that I've been trying with XSplit to get it in a way to where it will record my webcam and it will output a file, because it outputs it to YouTube. And from YouTube, it makes a file in my video management, in my video history. But I can't take that video out as easily. Now that I think about it, there is a way I can do it. And I believe I can do it simply because, number one, I own the recording and everything. But yeah, it doesn't put it out for me easily, and with the way I have it with XSplit right now, with the free version, it will only record like one thing at a time. So right now it's recording / streaming to YouTube, but I can't also have it locally recording, which means it is putting all of what's recording onto a file on my computer. It's only doing it to YouTube. And right now I can't really pay for the extended thing simply because of, right now I'm a college student and everything, and the fact that I'm just not doing that much with live streaming and stuff right now, so I don't see it being worth it right now. Maybe in a year or two it will. Oh, of course, like a couple minutes after I say I don't have any dropped frames, I have a couple. So, anyways, to not jinx myself anymore, I've been trying to get it to where I can have both going, but there's a couple of things going wrong with the screen capture and everything, so I thought, I'll just stick to this, and so far it's been doing it extremely well. So, getting back to other things to talk about, one of the things I know, Zach, if you are still watching or if you're still in the chat, you can go ahead and mention it, but one of the things I asked my friends Brooke and Zach this week was if they had played any of the Five Nights at Freddy's games, or what is more commonly known as FNAF, as the abbreviation of FNAF, FNAF. If you didn't know that was how it was pronounced, or you didn't know what that understood, now you know, now you're smarter. And just like my dad, how my dad keeps saying, anytime you learn something at work, you can go home. Fortunately, if that happened for some of his coworkers, there would never be anybody there, and he'd be by himself, unfortunately. So, he keeps it to himself. Anyways, one of the things I talked to him about was FNAF. That was because, for those of you who are up to date in the YouTube gaming world, whatever, or in the FNAF world culture, you know that the last week on the 7th, Sister Location officially came out. Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location. And which came a little early to some, simply because, number one, Scott is always a little weird with the dates that he put stuff out, but it came out, and people, YouTubers like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, I think Captain Sparkle's got in on it. I know there's tons of people who are doing it right now, just to get those awesome, wonderful views off of things. Unfortunately, I'm not a fan of, I don't know, I won't say I'm not a fan of playing the games, because I've never played the games. I'm just not a fan of that type of game. But the thing I admire more about it isn't like the actual gameplay itself, like the jump scares and everything, and trying to survive till 6 a.m. It's the lore behind it. It's the story that I enjoy more than anything. It's not of trying to stop animatronics from stuffing you in a suit. It's the why they're doing it. or why are they there? Why do they act the way they do? Where did they come from? Who's this puppet, Golden Freddy, and whatnot? I love the lore of it. If you guys don't know, and I mention him a lot, go ahead and check out Matt Pat over on the Game Theorist, because he started doing game theory starting from Five Nights at Freddy's 1. And he has continued it to his day. It's one of the things he does most often. He has like 8 or so videos now, including the couple live streams he's talked about it on, and it is wonderful. Granted, some of the stuff you may say, oh, it's just theories, but a lot of it is based off of actual facts that you can see either in the game, in the book, which I have a copy, or what Scott Cawthon, the actual creator, posts on his website. And it's just so rich and it's so good, this overlapping, ambiguous story that you don't really know if it's true or not, but it enraptures me. I mean, I would rate Five Nights at Freddy's, the entire franchise, within like the top 5 games for just story alone. I mean, number one, I would probably put Kingdom Hearts for best story and everything, just because throughout all the games, the overlapping story and everything, it is beautiful, it's wonderful. And I find the same thing in Five Nights as well. It's very enrapturing. You can't help but think, okay, if I watch this person play, I'm going to notice that. I'm just going to think, oh, this correlates with this, but why is that there unless this happened, and they're doing this because of this, but this person could be this person, or if it's this and this person is this, from this time, this place and everything. It's so wonderful, and it's easy to get wrapped up and caught up in it to where you can't help falling into this feeling of wanting to know more. And about a year ago, around the time of Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 came out around the time I started college. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 was earlier that year. And yeah, my senior year is when I really actually started getting into Markiplier. I didn't really watch Markiplier until my senior year. And I really liked him. I do love watching Markiplier. But I never really saw him as a big person like PewDiePie. I still have never seen a PewDiePie video. But I was watching Markiplier and I was like, alright, this is the whole Five Nights at Freddy's. I sort of just given it this pass of, oh, it's a jump scare, ooh, sort of deal, sort of for a cheap scare or whatever. I was like, it's just one time thing. They came out with the sequel, and I was like, okay. But it was around the time the third one came out, I believe. And I found Markiplier and I started watching. I was like, oh, okay. And I had also found the Game Theorist around that time and whatever, and I started from the beginning of his first theory and worked his way up. And around that time, I actually got to his Five Nights at Freddy's 1. I watched it and I was like, oh, that's very interesting. And then he came out with one for number 2 and 3 and whatnot. I was like, okay, I can get behind this. And then he started coming out with it more and everything, and things started to come together. Then Five Nights at Freddy's 4 came out. And yeah, this was around the time school started for me, and I just became enraptured. It's when Game Theory started doing their live streams and whatnot. I was like, this is amazing, this sort of lore behind it. To where I rewatched all of Markiplier's videos to find this stuff that they talk about and everything, this correlations. I see it now. It makes sense and everything. And I became in love with it, that after watching it and everything, I was like, alright, when's the next theory coming out? What's it going to be about? Or when's the next game? Because at that point, there was still the whole thing of if Scott Cawthon was going to come out with the Five Nights at Freddy's 5, one of those oh, there's Five Nights at Freddy's 1, there's Five Nights at Freddy's 2, then there's Five Nights at Freddy's 3, which is different. Then there was the whole Five Nights at Freddy's 4 where Freddy's actually using his fingers to indicate 4, and everyone's like, oh, maybe he's going to go for the full handful and do 5. No. And lots of people agree that they didn't. And that's also when he announced he was going to do FNAF Worlds, which I actually have, because at one point Scott Cawthon put it out for free, and I was like, I'll grab it up. It's an RPG. If you don't know Five Nights at Freddy's World, otherwise, as he actually does call it FNAF World, go look up Game Theory Live, and they did a playthrough of it, which is really funny. So yeah, I really became enraptured in Five Nights at Freddy's and the lore and the story behind it. I was like, There was one day that I was walking back and forth from class at Iowa, just because it was always like a 8 to 10 minute walk from my class to my dorm. And I was thinking, you know, thinking back to Five Nights at Freddy's 1. This was also when I started getting into random encounters and the FNAF musicals. I was like, you know, seems strange a lot of the stuff that happens in Five Nights at Freddy's 1. The fact that you have to manually have doors come down and everything, there's the lights and whatnot. I was like, I wonder if there's a way to survive at Five Nights at Freddy's 1 location that isn't necessarily how it is in the gameplay. Like, how would you survive at Five Nights at Freddy's and Freddy Fazbear's Pizza from Five Nights 1 in real life? If you were back in, what is it, 1993, and you were in the location, how would you survive? How could you survive the night? Or if you were found in the situation like some of the spin-off games, how to escape Five Nights at Freddy's 1. So I got thinking about it. I was like, I can make for a very good video. And I immediately started writing down a whole bunch of different notes about it and everything, and different things I noticed, like why was Freddy out of, like, not Freddy, why was Foxy out of order, why is he in Pirate's Cove, why are these certain doors locked, why is the camera in the kitchen dead, why do these animatronics move here or there, why do we not see this, why does this happen and everything. And I started thinking of back to game theory, and I was like, alright. I was like, I could do a game theory like thing, but I was like, I don't want to take the title of that. So one of the things I've actually been thinking about, and I'm really starting to do now that I actually have a physical copy of the book, is I am actually writing down a whole bunch of notes to actually come up and make this How to Survive at Five Nights at Freddy's IRL video. Just because it's something I've really been wanting to do, and it's just so interesting that, yeah, I'm just really now getting into it, especially with Sister Location coming out, this resurgence of people playing it and everything, and all the stuff that you can sort of, info about it and how it affects the franchise and whatnot. So, yeah, I'm getting started into that and everything. Right now it's mainly just the book that I'm getting info from. What I'll be doing is, I'll be going through and watching probably multiple people. I'll go through Markiplier again because he likes to go through everything and find all the hidden stuff. I'll probably go through all of his Five Nights at Freddy's 1 videos and find stuff, possibly even 2 and 3, to get sort of get more info about like the location possibly and the animatronics themselves, as well as going through the game theory videos again to get stuff. But there's also a lot of other stuff that I was going to look into, like actual layouts of buildings from 1993, like system codes and whatnot, if they're available online, to actually see like certain stuff, to see like how probable it would have been in the game and whatnot. Like the whole thing why it said that Five Nights 1 start is in 1983 is because of the pay amount, how much you get paid, and calculating that back with minimum wage and whatnot for how much you work and stuff. And that's all in the first Five Nights at Freddy's game and whatnot. So, yeah, it's something I've been trying to do right now. It's something I'm really looking forward to really dig my teeth into. And this isn't going to be like a short little thing of, oh, hey, you guys like Five Nights at Freddy's? Well, here's how I suggest you survive the actual night. This is going to be like an actual in-depth thing. This will be like a 15 to 20 minute video, I think. It's actually going to be, once I have all the info, I'm probably going to script what I'm actually going to say. And I'm really going to try and get really in-depth in the editing and whatnot of it, of actually looking through tutorials of transitions and stuff to use in my programs and whatnot, to really make it a really good and a really decent video for you guys. Just because it's something that I might want to do as like actual like sort of series on the channel. Just sort of do these things to where I it's almost like I overanalyze something. Like I overanalyze something, sort of like, and I put my theory on it or whatever. Like Five Nights at Freddy's, how would you survive the night? Most people wouldn't care, but it's like, well, if you did, how would you do it? Sort of overanalyzing that certain aspect, or like the butterfly effect. Like, how is the butterfly effect actually, is it actually real or not? And pertaining to time travel, how does it actually affect anything or nothing at all? And different things like that. So these just little things that you wouldn't really think in depth about, but you could, and that's what I'm trying to do. Is sort of the idea behind it. So yeah, that's sort of my idea behind it. I don't know, yeah, when it will come out. If I had to guess, Christmas, maybe sometime around there. It's literally mid-October today. It's the 15th out of 31 days. Sure, you can say, well, it has to be a certain amount of time and everything, but it doesn't matter. So, yeah, if I had to guess, possibly around Christmas or whatever and everything. I don't know. It'll for sure be out before the movie. None of you knew there's going to be a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. So, yeah. It'll for sure be out by then because that's supposed to come out 2018. So, I can for sure guarantee you that. Other things. One of the things, now that I realize we are an hour and 5 minutes in, is we are going to play. This is sort of like the main idea that I posted on Facebook where I was going to talk about today. We are going to play the game show Choose Your Alfred! Here we have the 5 contestants here today of all the Alfreds through the generations of Batman and Bruce Wayne. We are going to choose my Alfred. So, going off of this, I'm going to try and keep this up here. So be able to talk to you guys relatively well, is I have here the 5 Alfreds from the movies. Now this is strictly from the movies and the TV show that is not animated, so Gotham. Simply because of the fact, because then there's a ton of, Alfreds from like the Arkham series, from, Lego games, the Telltale Batman game which I'm playing right now, and stuff, so I really don't want to get into all of that. So these are all the real life actors portraying Alfred in the movies or the show. So first we have Alan Napier from the 1963 show and 1966 movie. We have Michael Gough, who played Alfred in Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin. I feel like there was another one. I don't know. He was the one in the Michael Caine, Val Kilmer, and George Clooney movies. Then we have Michael Caine, who was in the Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale Batman movies, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. We then have Sean Pertwee, who is Alfred in the show Gotham, which I'm a big fan of. And then we have Jeremy Irons, who played Alfred in Batman v Superman, which I just saw this week, and supposedly he's going to be returning in Justice League. So, in choosing my favorite Alfred, there's a couple things I want to sort of go in depth with them about. First off, just looking at them, I probably have to say Michael Gough would have been my favorite up until about like a couple of years ago. Just because I'd seen those Batman movies the most, and they were just the ones that I, enjoyed. He was a very decent Alfred, sort of, I don't want to say it was stereotypical that Alfred be old, but he was an older actor, and he portrayed Alfred very well. That he was very much like the soft-spoken butler. Like he was the caring butler for Batman, and Bruce Wayne and everything. But he wasn't involved in the Batman world as much as like the Alfred in the Telltale Batman games. So so just going through, I'm sort of going to go through and sort of cross off the ones that probably aren't going to make the final list. First one we're actually going to cross off is Alan Napier. Now, reason behind this, well, first off, I'm trying to do this in a well enough fashion to keep this visible to all you guys, is the fact that, number one, I haven't seen him as much, so I don't want to cross him off because of that, but the fact that his Alfred just really isn't that big of a person or a portrayal in the actual Batman as the other ones are. He's not as involved with the actual Bruce Wayne and being caring and whatnot. He's literally like the side butler in the movie who gets him his drinks and then leaves, usually without saying a word. That's a lot more what he is like. He's not so much like the handyman who's helping Batman with all of his gadgets or always talking to the women about where Bruce is gone late at night. He really doesn't do all that. He's literally more like a butler. So yes, going through, Michael Gough and Michael Caine, I guess, are probably the next two. I probably had to guess, and many people are probably going to yell at me about this, so I'm actually going to cross off Michael Caine. Reason why is he's him and Michael go in a way they're Alfred's to where they are very much caring for Bruce Wayne, but that's almost about it. With Michael Caine, he's very caring to Bruce Wayne and everything. There's the whole thing about in The Dark Knight Rises 3 of I promised your parents I'd look after you and I failed. The whole thing of the the gravestone scene and whatnot. Spoilers or something, I guess. The movie's a couple years old, but yeah, he's very much the caring one. But he that's sort of it. He's very much sort of like a butler and everything, especially in the first movie, and then that was about it. And he doesn't really deal with the Batman world as much. He's aware of it and everything, and he'll talk to Bruce and everything in their makeshift bat caves, but he's never a really big part of it. And he doesn't really play that much of a role outside of being Bruce Wayne's butler. So I do enjoy his performance of Alfred. Don't get me wrong on that. But for like if I was Batman for my Alfred, which one I would choose, he'd be a great candidate, but isn't the one that I would choose. Then we get to Michael Go, to where he is actually going to be the next one I cross off. Unfortunately, probably for much of the same reasons. Simply because in the movies that he's in, he just play a lot bigger part. Like Batman and Robin, he has the sickness that Nora Freeze has and everything and whatnot, to where he's a bit a part of the plot as well and everything. Yeah, he's a lot more butlery. He's a lot more of telling the women where Bruce is gone. He's the one who'll go into the Batcave, ask if there's anything to do and everything. To where he's a little more into the Batman world, but not by much. And you see him in the movies, he doesn't do a whole lot, but he is still there, and he does do a bit. How's the coffee? The coffee feels like it's still extremely hot. Ooh, and it is. I just need something to wet my throat. So, yeah. His performance, though, is amazing. Don't get me wrong on any of these actors. But, yeah. So then that leaves me between Sean Pertwee and Jeremy Irons, in which I'm actually going to cross off Jeremy Irons. Partially because once we get to these last two, we get Alfreds who, I don't want to say are more developed, but they at least do more. To where Jeremy Irons in Batman v Superman, we see an Alfred who is very much like a butler. There's the scene where he's chopping wood, so I guess there's some spoilers here, but not so much towards the story as much about Alfred. Otherwise, slight spoiler warning here if you haven't seen it. Otherwise, if it's not evident by now, I think the movie's pretty self-evident of what happens. I don't know, but I'll try and keep it as much spoiler-free as possible. But he does do a lot more. There's the scene where he's working on the one Batman mask of, oh, I almost have this done and everything. He's a lot more hands-on. He knows the inner workings. There's the one point where he flies the drone for Batman while he does something. He's a lot more hands-on. He's not so much of a butler, but he still portrays some of that. He's very worried about Batman and the way his mind is and what he's thinking, as well as being hands-on in the Batman world of helping him out while he's as Batman and everything in the Batcave. He's a lot more hands-on. But yeah, that sort of stops to where it's very, I guess it would be very hard to decide between Jeremy Irons and Sean Pertwee. But I guess Sean Pertwee is sort of, I don't want to consider the best Alfred, but like the better of all the Alfreds for a couple reasons. Sure, you can argue the fact that this is like maybe a younger Alfred because Bruce is like a preteen. He's not that old. This is like literally a couple years after his parents were shot. So you might be able to argue that, but I think the aspects of him still carry over to the fact that he's very much like a butler. He's very much the caring person in Bruce's life of his guardian. There's no arguing against that. He very much cares for Bruce and his safety and what he's doing and his mindset of everything. He's very protective and caring, and he's still carrying out the butlery duties. He's always taking out the trash. He's bringing him meals, asking how he's doing, chauffeuring him around. he's very good on that. But then I like partway through season one, we see this thing of Alfred to where he is like, I don't want to say he's like ex-military, but I think he is in a way to where if he gets himself in a fight, he can carry himself. He can take a couple good old jabs or punches, and he can hit back too. That is clearly evident in him, to where that's the one thing you don't see in the other Alfreds, partially because like the situation never arises. But Alfred, he can stand himself up, almost if not better than the younger Bruce, or possibly as one of the older Bruces. Granted, the older Alfreds, of course, are older and they're not as frail, they're not as limber and everything, so you could argue against that. But we at least see in Sean Pertwee this training and this combat style and stuff that you don't see in the others. So, yeah, there's that. So yeah, and we really don't see much with him with Batman because Bruce is, yeah, like I said, like a preteen. He hasn't become Batman yet, but he's very much with Bruce in this whole finding stuff out about his parents and his parents' company and whatnot. So I guess he's a little bit. He's more in like the background. He's sort of there from the very beginning, in a way that of Bruce maybe becoming Batman at some point, just many years previous, instead of like, yeah, with all the other ones, Batman's already developed, and Alfred's either helping or not helping, however much he's shown. So, yeah, Sean Pertwee, I guess, is going to be the winner, as I choose a different color, of Choose Your Alfred! And can't remember, I don't believe this was a question I heard from somebody off of one of the social media who gave me this question. I believe I found this off of Instagram. It was just a photo of, hey, you're Batman, choose your Alfred. And I was like, that'd be a great topic to talk about on the podcast. So, yes. Ooh, that coffee is good. But it's strange. So unfortunately, when I put my cup of coffee, it's not easy for me to grab it left-handed. I literally reach across my keyboard there, whereas with my right hand, I just go in between my two monitors, and I can just drink. So, yeah, it's very interesting. I'm trying to do it left-handed. So we'll see how things are going. And that is actually all that I have for this podcast. That's all I have written down. So I guess that brings me to the section of questions. This is part of the podcast where I take the questions you guys have posted to social media, to my blog, either in the live chat or in the comments of this video below, and I will answer them as best I can if I've not already answered them in the podcast. So, for any of those who are watching it live, go ahead, throw your questions down in there. I will wait possibly a couple of minutes or so, probably just ramble on about something random or something that's possibly going to be going on and everything, so you guys have time to catch up with the delay of stream and whatnot. Otherwise, I will be posing my own question at the end and then ending the podcast. So otherwise, a couple other things, especially in the gaming world, just to keep you guys updated. Haven't done much recording. I did record episode 2 of Telltale Batman. Wonderful. I am dying for episode 3 to come out, but unfortunately it doesn't come out for like the beginning of November, so it's gonna be a while. Scrap Mechanic, I haven't recorded any more. I want to. I have this wonderful idea of something to build. I'm currently editing those up. I'm currently editing up the Batman episodes, and I'm currently editing up the rest of the Golf with Friends episodes. Might even play some more Golf with Friends later today. So, yes, that is what is going on there. Minecraft may be getting into, maybe not. I still also haven't played a Lego game yet. I'm sort of in this lull twill. I want to, yeah, I don't want to as well, so I'm still debating with that at the moment of what I want to do, but yeah, I guess it doesn't matter all that much. Just looking through chat here a second to see if there are any questions now or yet. So yes, not seeing anything right off the bat. So yeah, there was possibly one other thing I was going to talk to you guys about, and I can't remember. Oh, Inktober. Inktober is going very well so far. I'm enjoying doing that. Yes, I'm like a day or two behind, but I'm going to fix that later today because today I also have to post. So post how you guys are liking that, either especially on the blogs, I like seeing comments on the blog, or post down below, or on social media. As I always say, somehow contact me how it is you think. There's also this thing of, I'm not sure how well it's being shown, but I have been growing out my beard quite a bit, and that's partially because I just haven't shaved it yet. It's one of those like, yeah, I'll let it grow out. I'll see what happens, and now I'm like, this is pretty long. I'm gonna trim it down, partially because I will be doing no shave November, partially because in past years I would literally not grow anything for the entire month of November. It'd take November, December, and part of January before I actually had anything to shave. But now it's like, I should probably shave a bit just in case. So, yeah, I will be doing that. Otherwise, yes, we'll end the podcast around here. The question I'm going to leave to you guys to answer in the comments below on my blog or in social media that I will bring up next time because it's going to be the topic I talk about is if you were living in the world of Pokemon and any of the regions, Sinnoh, Kanto, the Alola, I believe is the new one, in any region, what would be your dream team? You could pick any of the for your six Pokemon, any Pokemon that's existed, that is existing. So I believe that's 720. I can't remember if that's including the Pokemon from Sun and Moon or not. But you literally have your choice of any Pokemon to choose from. Who would be your six for your dream team? And I'll even go as far as saying you can choose your six and, if you want to, one companion Pokemon. Just because Ash always has his Pikachu with him, and that was sort of his companion Pokemon. There was his Brock with his like Onix. There was his female companions with the Piplup and Chikorita and whatnot, or the Togepi. So six Pokemon, and if you really want to, if you're struggling with a seventh one companion Pokemon. The other thing I'm going to limit is you can only choose one legendary Pokemon. That is, ones that are not typically found in the wild. Ones that there are only one Pokemon of it. There's only one that exists, like Giratina, Palkia, Dialga, Mew, Mewtwo, all of those. If you can only choose one of them unless there is multiple of it somehow in the wild. Also, no Mega Evolutions, just because those are still a Pokemon just Mega Evolved, so we're not going to choose those, just because, yeah, that's always changing right now with stuff, so we're not going to do those. And Legendaries, you can only choose one. And this isn't like you're going to battle against, like, what is your dream team? If you could have six of any Pokemon or six in a companion, who would you choose? And I'm going to choose mine. I'm going to tell you guys next week as well on the next episode of the Chitty-Chat cast. So thank you guys all for watching it, because this is the podcast dedicated to talking about random stuff, because why not? I've been your host, Lego MacGyver. So all of you Master Builds out there, stay bricky, keep building, and I will see you all next time. Of course, it hasn't stopped yet because I have to manually